Absegami High School, Comcast Sports presents high school wrestling tonight. It's the consolation finals of Region 8. Hello everyone, with John Vogening. I'm John Mondelli, and Vogue, an interesting night of wrestling because for the first time ever we have wrestlebacks in regions.
That's correct. We've had it for a couple of years now in the state tournament, but this is the first time on a regional level, and it certainly has proved beneficial to a few wrestlers. It means that in the past, if you lost on Friday night, your season was over. You took it home and you thought about next year. This year, when they lost on Friday night, they got a second chance. They came back today, and we've had a couple of wrestleback rounds already today, and we have a couple of wrestlers we're going to see wrestling tonight for third place who wouldn't have been here a year ago.
Yeah, matter of fact, we have five. A couple from our area: Carmen Leone from Kingsway, Jesse Eisenhart from Clearview, Mark Ring from Washington Township, so three from Gloucester County benefiting. Do you like the move, switching wrestlebacks to regions?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's the only fair way to treat the wrestlers. Anything can happen, especially with the new setup now where it's predetermined the seconds and thirds wrestle on Tuesday night, and then you come back with your tournaments restarting on Friday. Well, that means that after the seconds and thirds wrestle on Tuesday night, you have a seeding meeting on Wednesday, and that seeds the 8 remaining wrestlers, the 4 district champions and the 4 survivors. Well, last year we had a perfect example of Joe Galante, who was in the finals tonight from Ocean City, walking into the tournament with 1 loss in the district championship final, was seeded 8th. Lost on Friday night, his season was over. That can't happen now. You can wrestle back as high as 3rd if you lose on Friday night.
Okay, interestingly enough, in District 29, 13 of the 14 number 1 seeds won. We were rolling right along here in Region 8 in the semis. 2 number 1 seeds lose at 171 and 189.
Yeah, and they're both Gloucester County wrestlers. Mike Roberts of Kingsway, who's had a courageous year, overcoming some injuries and some trips, football trips. He lost his number 1 seed at 171. And, of course, James Funk lost for the first time this year in a rematch with Absegami's Jeff Black. A very, very close match in the dual meet. And, of course, today he lost in the semifinal and did not get the benefit of some what I feel are very unfair stalling calls. But as I say, I don't understand stalling anymore. Do away with it. Put the riding time clock back in. Make it like college wrestling.
Now, that's a discussion for another time. We'll have all the action coming up next on Comcast Sports. And welcome back to Absegami High School with John Vogening. I'm John Mondelli, and 112-pound consolation match. It is Lou Tirado of Kingsway going up against Josh Silver of Violent.
Kingsway, of course, in the black uniform with your favorite dragon on the back.
Yeah, nice dragon.
Josh Silver, the Violent wrestler, he's a senior. Louis Tirado is a sophomore. Tirado comes in 26-7. Silver is 25-9.
Just want to remind our viewers that since there are 2 matches going on at one time, we're going to try and cover the local wrestlers from our area, District 29 in Kingsway. There will be some times when we'll have wrestlers going on at both matches, so we'll try and do our best to cover the matches. Right now, 45 seconds into the first period.
Tirado was the number 2 seed in this weight class. We'll talk about seeding a little bit later, but he won his opening night match against Bobby Bestine of Gateway, 17-8. He lost to Brian Dempsey earlier today in the semifinals by a fall in the first period, 157. Tirado come back in the first wrestle back round and beat Chris Grusemeyer of Buna, 11-2. And now he's going against Josh Silver for the right to go to the next step. And that next step will be Tuesday, weather permitting, at Cherry Hill East High School, the preliminary and pre-quarterfinal rounds of the state tournament.
Of course, you always have controversy, but a lot of controversy throughout the state. People talking about the way the wrestlers were seated. All in all, I think it was a good job?
Oh, I think it was excellent with the criteria that the committee had to work with. In all but 2 weight classes tonight, the number 1 seed is in a championship round, and in many cases you'll see as we go into the finals, you see Jesse Castro, the coach of Kingsway, looking on. A lot of number 1s and number 2s made it to the finals, or 1s and 3s. So I think working with takes away from all the politicking that used to go on in the backroom politics of coaches saying, if you vote for my guy, I'll vote for your guy. That doesn't exist anymore.
Final 10 seconds. Still no score. And that's the way I'm going to say that's the way we're going to end it, but we'll go back to the center for the final 2 seconds of period number 1.
Jeff Hansen is the official in charge of the match. Alan Maloney is his assistant official. You'll see 2 officials in every mat tonight as we end the first period scoreless. Josh Silver was the number 4 seed in this weight class. He won his opening night match against Chris Grusemeyer of Buna 3-2. He lost to number 1 seed Eric Reyes of Delsey 11-4. And then he wrestled back by beating Bobby Bastine of Gateway 12-1.
Start the second period neutral. Didn't see whose choice it was, but they start neutral, and looks like Toronto's trying to get the takedown.
Of course, Lou Toronto's father, as we've mentioned on previous broadcasts, was quite a wrestler himself at Kingsway, winning a district and regional title, beating the same wrestler for the district and regional title. You remember that?
Jason Suter
of Paulsboro. Ironically, that year, Jason Suter finished 2nd in the district, 2nd in the region, and 2nd in the state, but not to Lou Toronto in the state tournament. Lou Toronto got beat when we got to the state tournament. You see the Vinely coaches looking on. They're on the opposite mat.
So we had the takedown by Toronto in the escape. Rich Scarpa's I think he's like a 170-pounder, wasn't he, Village?
Yes.
For Vineland. Vineland used to have some really good wrestling teams. I remember doing Vineland Paulsboro for many years.
Yeah, wrestled for Dennis Miller, who's retired, and he took Dennis Miller's place.
3-1 now on the stall. Looked like a point for stalling.
Yeah, we're kind of out of the loop here as far as looking at the scoreboard, and he got trouble here. Got trouble. Toronto's got his man in trouble. Now takes a peek at the clock, see how much time is left, throws the half in. Oh my, oh my. Oh my. Jeff Hansen giving it a good look.
And Silver doing a nice job to fight off his back, but Toronto still has the combination in trouble again.
Oh my. Toronto in complete control. This is his ticket to the state tournament. Third placers move on. Very aggressive job by Toronto. Chip off the old block.
Absolutely. 3 big points. He's now up 8-1.
Love that hairstyle too, John.
Mine or his?
Louis.
Yeah, that you don't have to worry about it.
8-1. Toronto in the lead. Jesse Castro.
Even the athletic director from Kingsway just walked by with a nice sweatshirt.
A sweatshirt for you?
Oh, no, but Kingsway. Nice look.
Okay. They have a new athletic director there this year.
Yes, Neil Rosa, I believe, is the new AD.
Neil Rosa, after all those years of, was it Ron Lurch was there, right?
Ron Lurch. Before him, I think Tony Barchuk was doing double duty. Rosa moved over from Clayton. He was at Clayton last year, moved over to Kingsway. 1:35 left. Lou Toronto in control. He has an 8-1 lead.
Bigger school, more responsibility for Neil Rosa. Well, what an array of people in this gymnasium tonight, John. State champions walking around, former wrestlers.
Former coaches.
Former coaches, yeah. Well, Bob Frederick, the state tournament director earlier.
Silver on top, but he needs to get some points.
The winner here moves on in this bout. The loser goes home for the season.
Yeah, you would think the loser would like it, gets to go home and eat, but I guess, you never know. We've seen a couple times in this tournament where the 4th place district winner had to come in and wrestle.
Well, and that's the same thing here. If Lou Torado wins this bout and moves on, Josh Silver is the alternate. If Torado were to get hurt tomorrow, the next day, could not compete on Tuesday, Josh Silver could move into the lineup. So they have to hold their weight for a couple more days.
30 seconds left, a 10-1 lead, though, for Lou Torado of Kingsway. Kingsway coming off an excellent season, almost pulling off a major upset in Group 2 in the state semifinals against Kittatinny, just falling short.
Just falling short, and talked to Jesse Castro during the break, and he said it all came down to the flip of the coin. The coin toss had it gone their way, they could have won that match.
6 seconds, 12-3 lead for Torado. There's an escape. 13-3 to final score. So Lou Torado of Kingsway.
And that raises his record on the year to 27 wins and 7 losses for the sophomore.
And that'll send us right into our next consolation, and it looks like it'll be 125 pounds. Jeff Smith of Paulsboro, Robert Lawless of Holy Spirit. And that's on the, I guess that's the Absegami. They're both Absegami mats.
Yeah, this is the one without the brave, though. This is the other mat. This is the flag end.
Of course, Jeff Smith in that tough 125-pound weight class, which is very tough in District 29. And there's a good chance that all 3 District 29 25-pounders will place in this tournament. A couple nice matchups. Jared Mercado and Smith, Rollins and Mercado. And there's Smith trying for that headlock, didn't get it, and he rolls out. Gonna keep him wrestling.
125 pounds, arguably the very toughest weight class in this tournament. Jimmy Rollins of West Deptford will be in the finals. He's undefeated, 27-0. He'll meet Jared Mercado of Pittman, 30-2. Jeff Smith was the number 3 seed from Paulsboro. He lost to Mercado in the semifinals, 10-8. And Smith is wrestling against Robert Lawless of Holy Spirit. And Lawless was the number 5 seed who beat Josh Sarankowski of Delsey in the quarterfinals. Smith enters the match with a record of 30 wins and 4 losses. As we said, he opened up with a 10-4 win over Rich Wilcox of Buna. He lost to Jared Mercado 10-8. He won his first wrestle back against Sarankowski of Delsey 13-4, which brings him right here with a 30-4 record. Robert Lawless of Holy Spirit, a junior, the number 5 seed, won his opening match 16-6, lost to Jimmy Rollins by tech fall. Won his first wrestle back over Ricky Wilcox of Buna, and then of 7-4, and he's here with a 26-2 record.
And we have 40 seconds left, 2-0 lead for Smith.
This is the mat where we have trouble with the clock.
Absolutely, but if I can stand.
All right. Ron Roberts is the official on the mat. He's being assisted by Orville Wilson.
Roberts had a pretty good career at Buna.
Yes, he did. And you see the coaching corner of Holy Spirit High School.
I'll tell you what, folks, 125 doesn't get any easier when you get out of here because you have Sauer and Stinson in Region 7.
Do we ever. And of course, if my memory serves me correctly, the 3rd place wrestler here will wrestle a wrestler from the other region.
Second, right.
Yeah, second, and could end up wrestling this champion again on Tuesday night or the next time they're going to wrestle. Weather will determine that.
And that weather's playing some interesting games on a lot of people. This is a big tournament for basketball and wrestling.
Huge. As we'll mention right now, John, so we'll get this out once and we'll repeat it a couple times, but the state tournament this year is a Saturday-Sunday state tournament at the Meadowlands. The starting time on Saturday is 2 o'clock with the quarterfinals and wrestlebacks on 8 mats. Doors open at 1 o'clock at the Meadowlands. And on Sunday, wrestling starts at 11 o'clock in the morning with the semifinals, followed by the wrestlebacks, followed by the consolations for 3rd and 4th, 5th and 6th. Then there's a break, and at about 3 o'clock, they break down to 1 mat, go with the championship round. It's at the Meadowlands Arena.
15 seconds in. There you see Smith trying to get the points.
Yeah, he's got that Peterson. He's got the reversal. He's got back points coming.
He used that same move in his wrestle back earlier today.
John, he has used that since the opening tournament in Caldwell. Been one of his favorite moves this year, the Peterson roll. Looks like he's not in charge when he's laying it on his back on the opponent, but see how he has that leg hooked and he has that wrist held? And if he can reach around with his other arm, that's a pinning combination. And I've seen him pin people with his back to their chest. Rod Roberts looking in, the official. Smith reached for the headlock and missed it, but he gets the back points.
He now leads 6-0.
Robert Lawless of Holy Spirit, 26-2 entering this bout.
Of course, Holy Spirit for years had a nice football program, a pretty good basketball team this year. I think they have to go up against that Christian Brothers Academy, though, who's the #1 team in the state. That's our basketball talk for the day now, Voch. There's basketball commentary.
There's a couple of familiar faces in the Paulsboro corner. Head coach Paul Marino on the left. Tyrone Hamilton, one of many Hamilton brothers who donned the red and white uniform of Paulsboro and did so well in the district, regional, and state level.
So Jeff Smith in total control, 30 seconds left.
We didn't see Smith lose much this year. John, of course, entering this match with 4 losses. The first loss in overtime down in the tournament in Virginia at Deep Creek. The second loss to Jimmy Rollins, that infamous match that ended up 4-3, and then the dispute over injury timeout was ruled one way by Orville Wilson, the referee, and then reversed after they clarified it a day later. And those other 2 losses were both to Jared Mercado, who's a great-looking sophomore we'll see in the finals.
Yeah, that loss in the semifinals today, a 2-point loss, was the most he's ever lost by this season. I think the others were all 1-point matches.
Well, the one was in overtime, and 1 point to Jimmy Rollins, and 1 point in the districts to Mercado, and that 2 points today. So Mercado seems to have Smith's number.
Smith will be happy just to stay there for the final 5 seconds. And he'll take a 6-0 third period.
Wrestling very well.
Of course, during the wrestlebacks, they pulled out 3 mats.
Yes. Took away a little bit of seating, but made the wrestlebacks go a little bit faster. The reason they can't use 3 mats in here for the semifinals earlier rounds is because you'd lose about 600 seats doing it. Standing room only again, and we're only in the consolations.
Of course, next year, with the state tournament being held at the Meadowlands, next year it moves back to Atlantic City.
That's
a lot
correct.
easier for the people down here. They're only going to have, what, 5-10 minute ride. And I was told, talking to Boyd Sands earlier this week, the new place will hold 14,000 fans. As we see Paul Marina.
Terrific. And a venue will be much different. The people that remember the state championships in Atlantic City, the big cavernous convention hall that it was, this will be a little bit cozier. Plus, it'll be made for, as you see, an injury timeout, made for some athletic events, because you didn't have dressing rooms there before, John. The wrestlers would wrestle, and then they'd have to put street clothes on and go back to their hotels or motels to take a shower.
Okay, while we have this moment, I want to mention that the NJSIAA believes that athletics support the academic mission of our New Jersey schools by teaching sportsmanship, teamwork, self-discipline, and fair play. Message brought to you by the NJSIAA.
The New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association. As you knew what those letters stood
Absolutely.
for.
Busy time of year for them. Swimming,
Oh, boy.
basketball, girls and boys, wrestling.
State individual championships right in Gloucester County at Gloucester County Institute of Technology. You're familiar with that?
Yeah, my place of employment. Nicest facility for swimming in the state. Okay, we start back up. 8-0 lead now for Smith. I think he's going to cut him here. He's been trying that most of that second period to turn him. He did get that Peterson earlier, but cuts him here, 8-1 lead. And I think he's pretty confident on his feet.
Well, he goes in for the double, buries his head in the middle. Generally, when you go in for the double, you stick your head out to the side a little bit. But Smith's been around. Great career. He went over 100 wins this year in his combined career. Of course, the first 3 years at Washington Township High School. The family moved during the summer. Jeff's brother David is a freshman on the team this year. Made it to this tournament. Won a match and then lost 2 and was eliminated, but for 95, 96 pounds, although he said he weighed 99 the other day, so he's growing or eating more.
30 seconds left. Oh, he might get a takedown for Lawless here. There it is. 8-3.
Lawless looking for a big move to try and get Jeff Smith to his back.
Not going to happen, though. 5 seconds left. And we get a reversal. Final 10. Paulsboro advances.
10-3, and that makes his record 31 wins and 4 losses.
And we'll take a break. Come back, more action after this timeout. Back at Absegami High School as we get ready for the consolation match at 140 pounds. It'll be Clearview's Mark Cartella going up against Joe Clark of St. Augustine.
We didn't get a chance to see Kyle Mancuso of West Effort wrestle against Donnie Fish of Delsey. Would have been a great match. Don Fish having a great year. He's a sophomore, as is Mancuso. The Fish won by forfeit. Here you see Clearview in the green and gold. Out there against Joe Clark of St. Augustine. Interesting matchup, John. Mark Cartella, 25 wins and 4 losses, a junior, and Joe Clark of St. Augustine, 20 wins and 2 losses, a junior.
And you know what's interesting, Voge, is both wrestlers lost to Brandon Becker by a point.
Yes. Cartella was the number 5 seed. He advanced with a 10-1 win over Nick Curcio of Washington Township, then lost to Brandon Becker in a heartbreaker 6-5. Came back and won his first wrestle back against Scott Resch of Absegami 10-1. Joe Clark was the number 8 seed, John.
He beat Trevor Suter
on Tuesday night. As the number 8 seed, he lost 3-2 to Brandon Becker. Put him in the wrestlebacks round. He beat Nick Curcio by a fall, and then he beat Jim Harris of Edgewood 3-1 to reach this point.
And we wrestled a minute in the first period, no score. And there's a takedown as soon as I said that by Cartella. And what I hear about Cartella, if he gets a lead, he's really tough.
Yeah, he's tough without a lead. 25 wins and 4 losses.
4 of his losses, 2 of those 4 to Becker, 1-0, and then you mentioned the 6-5 match.
Right.
So he's been in there with Brandon Becker, who's 34-0.
And didn't he lose to Suter in the dual meet? We saw that.
Right, and then avenged that in the districts by pinning him.
Yeah, Suter caught him with a big 5-point move in that dual meet and ended up winning, I believe, 8-3. Cartella, a very impressive-looking junior. And, of course, a win here takes him to the next level.
As for Joe Clark from St. Augustine, parochial be champs this year, state champs, and a bit of an upset. I think a lot of people thought maybe that was something that Gloucester Catholic would take home that crown.
Yeah, it was hard to tell because St. Augustine was the number 1 seed in South Jersey Parochial B, and of course that ended up being a South Jersey and state final because they were the only 2 teams in the state to qualify. You just got a peek at John Marinelli, the head coach of Clearview High School.
That's his wrestlers out on top, 2-0 as we finish period number 1.
John Marinelli, of course, went to Absegami and wrestled for Gene Barber. And, of course, the coach at Oakcrest, who moved over to help Gene at Absegami, was Art Marinelli, who's played a major role for a number of years here, and then at Egg Harbor Township as the athletic director, now retired.
Sitting right in front of us.
Still on the scene, doing the paperwork. Great guy, Art Marinelli. And of course, for years, Harry Ackerman, the AD here, now retired, replaced by Jeff Cusack, who went to Haddonfield High School.
Really? And of course, Harry Ackerman's back.
He's
working the clock right now.
Working the clock.
Cartella starting the second period on bottom. He has the 2-0 lead.
Clark got the arm tied up there. He's reaching through underneath, grabbing the wrist.
You're hearing the cries of stalling, and obviously you mentioned your thoughts on the stall call.
Coach Hoover on the right is the head coach of St. Augustine High School. I don't know his assistant's name. I apologize for that.
Clark in control.
And that is Jeff Hansen, the referee on that mat.
And we'll get to neutral. The escape for Cartella and a 3-0 lead.
Jeff Hansen working with Alan Maloney. And we'll see Alan Maloney later in the finals, but you know, we just saw Jeff Smith wrestle, and years ago, Alan Maloney and Jeff Smith's father, Steve Smith, used to have some titanic battles. Steve Smith wrestling for Washington Township, as you see Clark in a takedown, and Alan Maloney, of course, for Edgewood High School. Some great battles.
I think that's Al's son up there in the front row, isn't it? He's actually growing up on Comcast because every year he brings his son to his matches.
Little Marky. A mini wrestler himself.
Sort of like when I started out at Comcast, we were Gloucester County Cable. We actually watched Mark Voge grow up. We used to call him Little Voge.
Little Voge, now the big rig.
Yeah.
Was here earlier today.
I think I'm going to go visit him. He said he's working tonight. I said I'd stop by. 3-2 lead. Mark Cartella over Joe Clark of St. Augustine. The Hermits. Matter of fact, St. Augustine does a nice little draw from like Washington Township, Glassboro area. They do get some of the students from there.
You see John Marinelli on the left. That was his assistant coach, Bruno. What's his first name, John? Do you remember Bob Bruno?
Bob
Bruno from Glassboro.
Glassboro, absolutely.
Boy, there were some titanic battles years ago between Glassboro and Paulsboro in Group 1.
And in the districts.
And in the districts, you're right.
Nice move by Cartella to get the 2 and a 5-2 lead.
With only 2 seconds to go in the second period.
We talked about 125 pounds being tough in South Jersey. 140 in the state of New Jersey it's unbelievable.
Brutal.
Antonio Mangione with Stanley, Becker, a lot of them.
And we're going to see a good little 40-pounder in the finals today against Brandon Becker, and that's that Joe Galante of Ocean City, who, when we get to that point, we'll talk about how last year he was a number 8 seed, came in with 1 loss, got beat on Friday night, bingo, he was out of the tournament. This year it wouldn't happen, as Joe Clark is proving to us right now. Joe Clark, the number 8 seed, lost Friday night. Here he is battling Mark Cartella for 3rd place in a trip to the States.
Well, we start period number 3. Cartella out in front, 5-2.
New wrestling match for Absegami with the Braves. The Brave on the middle.
Nice tournament ran by Absegami, and I'll tell you, number 1 team in the state. I mean, it's not official. It won't be official until next week, but barring something very strange, they will be the number 1 team.
If there's another team picked number 1 in the state of New Jersey, I'll never write another word for my newspaper. That would be a travesty of justice.
How many people you think there right now rooting for Kittagini, Voge, after that statement?
Well, I do know this. They finished number 1 in our poll very easily in the Courier Post top 10, top 20. I know that I'm very sure that they're going to be number one in the Gannett State poll of all the Gannett papers. They're the only undefeated team in the state. And of course, they have 8 in the finals of the region tonight. Without a doubt, they're the number one team.
There's a warning on Cartella.
Of course, if I never got Gene Barber through freshman English class, they wouldn't have him as coach, and they wouldn't be number one. You understand that, right?
Absolutely. It was all you. You're the man who built this program. I was just going to bring that up. I was going to wait to the finals, though. You know what I mean?
Gene's brother, Larry, came out of hibernation for this tournament. Larry, an old classmate of mine at PHS.
Final 40 seconds, Cartella up 4-2. Once this match is over, we'll swing over to the other mat and see Ryan Goodman of Middle Township and Greg Croce of Paulsboro. Another one that should be an excellent match. Goodman coming into that match with just 2 losses. Meanwhile, 33 seconds, Cartella from Clearview in front.
Caution. Of course, if viewing audience is aware by now, you get 1 caution, no charge. You get 2 cautions, no charge. And every caution after that costs you 1 point. To infinity. As opposed to stalling points in the penalty chart.
Right. Clark needs something big here. Maybe an escape and a takedown.
Or a reversal right to his man's back because he's down by 3 with 18 seconds to go.
Of course, Cartella has to still wrestle. He can't afford to give up a stall point and then be reversed.
He's a pretty heady junior. I think he's going to take it right to the buzzer.
Nice job trying to break his man down. And a nice workman-like effort by Mark Cartella. With 5 seconds left, he'll pick up the win. And he advances. He'll be in Cherry Hill.
And on the other mat, just underway, I saw Greg Croce get a takedown.
A little talking back and forth between Clark and Cartella, and then Cartella just walks away. Now we go over to the other mat.
Croce with a 2-1 lead.
20 seconds left in the first period. And we'll try and go back and forth between the two mats.
See the position right there where Croce just shot, John? Croce shot. His man sprawled on him. Croce has the legs. Earlier today, that happened to James Funk. He shot like that. Jeff Black sprawled on top of him. Funk tied up the legs and he got hit with a stalling call.
Okay, 2-1 after 1 on the other mat as we get ready to start. It'll be 152 consolation. We'll try and swing back and forth. Lee Minetti of Edgewood and Carmen Leone of Kingsway.
Greg Croce came into the tournament as the number 2 seed. He opened up with a pin over Mark Maraca of Clearview. He lost to Jared Vallejo 9-5 in a reversal of the dual meet earlier today. Came back in the wrestle back round and he beat Brian Weiler of Egg Harbor Township 4-2 to advance to this point against freshman Ryan Goodman of Middle Township. Goodman came in as the number 4 seed. Beat Weiler of Egg Harbor Township 6-3. Lost to Ray Weed of Absegami 2-1. Won his first wrestle back 5-3 over Mike Laterzo of Washington Township. That brings us right up to this match.
Where it's 4-2.
In favor of
Goodman.
Goodman, the freshman.
138 left in the second.
If Croce looks sluggish, John, he has good reason. He has not had a good last couple of days with illness. I understand he's been very, very sick. Not the way he wanted his career to finish up, coming out of a sickbed to wrestle.
Of course, Croce picked up his 100th win in his career, I think, in the semifinals of districts. Right now, he trails 4-2 with a minute left in the second.
This Goodman had 1 loss entering this regional competition. That was to Ray Weed of Absegami. He beat Ray Weed early in the year. You see a stalling warning against Greg Croce by Ron Roberts, the referee. Weed avenged that loss by beating Goodman for the District 32 championship and then beat him again today 2-1. So Goodman walking in here with a 29-2 record, both losses to the same wrestler.
They'll go back to the center. 34 seconds left in the second period.
Ron Roberts, the referee, signals for the injury time clock to start.
Let's go to the other mat then, since we have a little injury time. Lee Minetti of Edgewood just gets the takedown about 10 seconds ago. He has a 2-0 lead on Carmen Leon of Kingsway.
Of course, Carmen Leon, 9-2 at this point, entered the tournament with a 7-1 record as the number 7 seed. Got tech-fouled by Juan Rodriguez, who's in the finals of Buna, 15-0 in 6 minutes. Leon dropped down and beat Tim Sisto of Washington Township 3-0. Then he came back and he pinned Tom Giorgiani of Paulsboro. So he's 9-2 going against Minetti for third place. Leon, a junior.
And you look at Carmen, he probably should be wrestling 40 or 45, but when you have Maleko and Becker there, it's tough. There's the escape.
And of course, only having 11 matches to this point because he had surgery earlier in the year. That Kingsway lineup was banged up at different times during the year, with Maleko being hurt in football season, undergoing surgery.
2-1. Now we'll go back to the other match now, where Greg Croce gets the escape and a takedown. He has a 5-4 lead with 10 seconds left in the second period.
Drops down on the leg.
A lot of action going on. Croce has already been hit with a stall warning, so he has to watch out with that. And we'll end the second period. Croce up 5-4.
Croce's choice, he takes the bottom position.
First sophomore year, I believe Croce placed in his states.
Yes, he did. That was the year that he had those go-rounds with Billy Gibbs, who won a state title last year. But Billy Gibbs wrestled Croce 4 times, I think, that year. Wrestled him in the dual meet, wrestled him in the districts, wrestled him in the regionals, and wrestled him in the states. Croce's arm is barred, which is pretty tough for him to get up off the mat that way. But if he doesn't show some kind of spunk, there's the back points coming by Goodman on a roll through. But Goodman held him there long enough to get the exposure.
They'll have a 6-5 lead, a minute 20 left.
There's the 3-point near fall.
Points, so it'll be a 7-5 lead. There's an 8-5 lead, a point on the stall.
Yeah, Croce definitely not 100% out there. And he's got to show more spunk or he's going to get hit again.
And
there's
the
hit.
9-5. If he gets hit two more times, he's done.
Yep, it'd be a DQ. The next stalling is 2 points. The next one after that would be disqualification.
$35 seconds left. Ryan Goodman of Middle Township in control.
Very impressive freshman, John. A very, very, very impressive freshman.
There's the 2. It's now 11-5. Next stall is a disqualification, but with 5 seconds left, that won't happen. 11-5 will be the final score. Middle Township.
He qualifies for the state tournament, and he will next swing in action in the preliminary round of the state tournament at Cherry Hill East High School.
Meanwhile, we'll go back to the other mat. 55 seconds left, a 2-1 lead. Lee Minetti of Edgewood as we take a look at Croce. 52 seconds left in the second period. Minetti has the takedown.
Minetti, of course, with the big Edgewood across the back and then dragging across the back of Carmen Leon.
On deck on mat 2, the 215-pound consolation final from Edgewater Township, Neil Anderson from Millville.
Of course, Leon won his district, beating Brad Giordano of Vineland, pinning him in the district final.
"30 seconds left in that match, at the second period of that match.
Has to watch out, a little bit of trouble.
Beniti, of course, 20 wins and 8 losses, as opposed to Leon's 9 wins and 2 losses. Beniti, the number 3 seed, he opened up with a 5-3 overtime win over Tim Sisto of Washington Township. Lost to Juan Rodriguez in the semifinals. Came back and won his first wrestle back against Brad Giordano 5-4. As you see Jesse Castro and Brian Farnham in the corner of Kingsway.
Mike Roberts there next to him. He'll be wrestling a little bit later. Little injury time, so we'll swing back over to the other mat now, where we have Dave Zimmer of Buna against James Funk of Paulsboro.
There they go head-to-head, the red and white of Paulsboro, and Zimmer with the Buna across the Chiefs across the back.
We're just 45 seconds into this match. Of course, Funk was the number 1 seed, lost in overtime to Jeff Black.
40 seconds into that overtime, he got taken down by Black. Took a shot, took many shots in that match, and just didn't benefit from any of the calls. The fact is, he took a shot, the man sprawled on him. Funk locked up on his leg, and they called Funk for stalling because if he made a move, he would have been taken down.
There's the takedown for Zimmer. Zimmer advanced with a forfeit win when Brett Holmes had to forfeit. Brett Holmes out of West Deptford.
But of course, we just saw Beniti a second ago get 2 more points
Got
against.
a reversal in the first 5 seconds of the third period. He now leads. He now leads 4-1 with that escape. So Lee Minetti doing a nice job.
Jim Engels, of course, came out of retirement this year to get back in the saddle for Edgewood. That P.D. DePaul was there for a couple of years. Left to take the job at Shalleck High School. P.D. DePaul, the former region champion for Paulsboro, now at Shalleck. Jim Engels, who wrestled at Collingswood years ago for Sam Corson, and a longtime head coach of Edgewood. And then he went to Rutgers Camden and a stint at Glassboro State, which no longer has, neither school has wrestling anymore.
The stall warning against Edgewood. Minetti. 1 minute, 1 second to wrestle. 4-1 lead for Lee Minetti of Edgewood.
There's Jim Engels sitting on the right-hand side. Was in retirement, and they got him out of it, John. I don't know if that's good or bad.
That's good if you want to. A lot of times you realize you missed something. There's a warning against Kingsway for stalling. So each wrestler has been hit 1 time. Minetti doing a great job, just on top, trying to work.
Nothing fancy.
Doing what he has to do on top.
Right, like a blanket.
And it looks like it's going to end up 4-1, the final score. Lee Minetti of Edgewood.
His senior raised his record to 21 wins and 8 losses, and he will go to the state tournament.
Okay, we start period number 2. We'll go back to the other mat. Dave Zimmer of Buna with a 2-1 lead over James Funk.
That 1 point for Funk came on a locking hands violation. Funk in control right now.
Edgewood's Lee Minetti. By decision, the score 4-1. On deck on mat 1, 171-pound consolation final. From Clearview, Jason Hatchell. From Kingsway, Mike Roberts. On deck.
1:43 to wrestle, second period, as we take a look at Zimmer getting his, looks like his knee brace in place. course, we have the 160 match going on at the other mat, which will be Tim Pence of Kingsway and Lamb of Absegami. So a lot of wrestling. We're going to be bouncing back and forth between the mats.
Is it next year that we're getting the split screen so we can watch both at the same time?
Yeah, actually, we're trying to get it in for today. It didn't work out.
Orville Wilson is the referee in charge of the match between Dave Zimmer of Buna and James Funk. Dave Zimmer came into the tournament as the number 5 seed. He lost to Jeff Black of Absegami right off the bat, the first on Friday night. Dropped into the wrestlebacks. He pinned Chris Nizak of Washington Township, and then he beat Brett Holmes by forfeit. Brett Holmes had a hand injury, had to injury default, so Zimmer won by forfeit. James Funk, the number 1 seed, he won 9-4 over Nizak of Washington Township. In the semifinals, he lost 4-2 in overtime to Jeff Black. In his first wrestleback, he beat Doug Kugler of Woodstown 5-3. Funk is 30 wins and 1 loss going into this bout. Dave Zimmer, 28 wins and 6 losses. Funk got him turned.
He's going to get some
got
back
him in trouble.
points.
He's got back points going.
42
He's got him
seconds.
tight. Oh my, there it is, the fall.
40 seconds left in the second.
40 seconds left in the second period. 3 minutes and 20 seconds. And James Funk finishes third after finishing second last year.
Okay, we go back over to the other mat. Tim Pence has a 2-0 lead over Ray Lamb of Absegami. Pence was the number 2 seed at 160 pounds as we are in the first period with minute 20 left.
As you mentioned, Pence, the number 2 seed, he opened up with a 7-0 win over Eric DiPolito of West Deptford. And then Pence lost to Zach Guerin in the semifinals by decision. Dropped him into the wrestlebacks, and he beat Ismail Abdusamano of Egg Harbor Township by a fall in 2:35. Pence is 23-6 and a senior. Ray Lamb transferred to Absegami this year from Millville. He entered the tournament as the number 3 seed. He got beaten 9-0 by Paulsboro's Zach Guerin in the quarterfinals. Dropped down to the wrestlebacks and beat Eric DiPolito 4-2, and then beat Brian Alber of Edgewood 12-7. He's 26-5 and a junior. In the Absegami Brown.
He had some big wins for Absegami this year.
Huge.
Picked up some big wins for them.
You are a taxpayer in that district, aren't you, Mondelli?
I know what you're going to say already.
Look at now. That's a disgrace. Now you're paying taxes there, and you can't even get the letters on the uniform tied down.
I noticed that earlier today. I was hoping no one would bring that up. Just look at all the other Kingsway. It must just be that one uniform.
Is the dragon coming off next?
No, I don't think so.
Gee.
Come on, Voj. I don't pick on the red and white.
Hey, listen, when Guy was there, they had uniforms that stayed together. Jeff Hansen, the referee. You see Jesse Castro on the right, Adam Goldstein on the left, saying take the down position. Well, it's not his choice. Then hold him down.
That's probably what he meant. 2-1 lead for Pence. He zipped right through these. So, Voj, you a betting man? Will there be wrestling on Tuesday night?
From all that I can hear on the weather forecast, I would sincerely doubt it.
About that.
Bob Fredericks earlier, the last thing he listened to, and of course he's going to be part of that state tournament, the last thing he listened to said anywhere from 12 to 24 inches of snow.
That's nothing. That's nothing. I'll be there. I'll be at work. Matter of fact, speaking of that, I see Boyd Sands just popped in. Right across from us, directly on the other side. Surveying the situation. Boyd stopped here last year.
It's a great place to be. Region A wrestling at Absegami High School. Couldn't think of any place further to be tonight.
Two-one, Tim Pence. Remember Tim Pence when we started doing these matches a few years ago? It was 112 pounds. Yeah.
Well, just goes to show you, he ate all his victuals.
Absolutely.
And then some.
There's Boyd Sands.
Who's he standing next to?
He's keeping, I don't know, it's a writer. That looks like a writer from the Courier Post.
The guy sitting there with his hand on his chin. That isn't.
That's John Cobb.
The great John Cobb, is it?
No, it's not. It's John Cobb.
Oh, okay.
You said the great.
Bill Jones' son-in-law?
Yeah.
Huh?
Absolutely. That's who it is.
Bill Jones, one of the three amigos.
They watch this stuff religiously, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Nice to have our fans.
See Gene Barber in the corner, Jim Brown, one of his assistants, and on the floor, Dolph Hawk. You're only supposed to have three coaches in the corner, so I guess Dolph was out of the corner a little bit.
And I'm sure Pat Lynch is over there hiding somewhere.
He's over in the other corner.
He's
of the mat.
around somewhere.
See him on the
Yeah,
other
I do
corner?
see him. Absolutely.
Pat Lynch, the former two-time state champion, Ocean City, now an assistant coach at Absegami High School. Boy, what a coaching staff, huh? Gene Barber, former national runner-up when he was at senior at Trenton State. Came in third in the Division III Nationals, which in those days qualifying for the Division I Big Show. He went out to the Division I Nationals and made it to the national finals before losing to a wrestler from Iowa State. You see a stalling call. You know, the more and more I see wrestling and the more I see stalling called, not only the more confused I get, but I wish they would just take it away, give riding time back, and let the wrestlers wrestle.
Hey, Voge, I've been saying that for years. It's the purist.
Oh, my.
Purist.
Look at that move by Lamb.
Got a nice reversal in the final 20 seconds of the period. He has a 3-2 lead. Let's see if Pence can get out.
Now, he just carried him straight out of bounds. Now, why isn't that a penalty? He was on his feet for as long as Pence was on his feet. Pence got hit with a stalling warning. Lamb has to follow him around the mat and drive him out of bounds and gets no warning.
It's your sport, Voge. Tell me.
Am I wrong?
You tell me.
And I like Jeff Hansen. I'm not criticizing Jeff Hansen. I just think it's confusing me.
I think match to match, especially in tournaments when you have different officials, it's always different.
Now, see that? Now, that time he's on his feet and he couldn't take it down in 5 seconds. There's the stalling warning. Two seconds.
We'll go to the third period.
2
Ray Lamb,
seconds.
3-2.
You know what 2 seconds means to me when I think of 2 seconds? Being in the national semifinals and seeing Joey Burke from Buena have a 1-point lead with 2 seconds to go, and they're in a neutral position coming back from out of bounds, and the referee blew the whistle, and Burke lost the match. That's how fast the guy took him down right at the buzzer. With 2 seconds to go, he got a takedown and beat Joey Burke in the national semifinals. Burke was wrestling at Seton Hall at the time.
I remember that. 3-3 match. He escaped for Pence. Lamb in on the leg. Nice job by Pence to fight it off. Now Pence in a nice position to get
Oh
to
my,
take down
step
some
across,
points.
he's got it. If he steps across, cross face hard, spin behind, 2-point takedown. Yes, folks, that's that little 112-pounder who's grown up. Cuts him loose.
5-4, minute 22. God, he got a little sloppy.
Got a little sloppy. Lamb takedown, spins behind.
6-5, minute 11. Now here's another escape. This time Lamb gives it up. Kind of gave that one up pretty quick, don't you think?
Yes. 6-6 with a minute to go. Pence, 23 wins, 6 losses. He's a senior. Ray Lamb, 26 wins and 5 losses. He's a junior. Lamb in. Pence throws the overhook, and they go out of bounds. Did you get a 50-50 ticket?
No. You know what? District 29 already won once today. The odds aren't in my favor.
That's true. I didn't have enough money left. I had to borrow money from my wife to get a bite to eat between sessions.
I told her not to give it to you.
big rig made alone. I think he might have visited Atlantic City.
There's a point for Kingsway. The Lamb's going to spin around with 25 seconds left. He trails 7-6. He's going to get the takedown. He's up 8-7.
Oh, brother, gets a stalling point for Pence, but Lamb battles his way to a takedown in the lead. Pence has to get out to force overtime. He's got 10 seconds to do it. Lamb holding on. See Pat Lynch in the corner encouraging his wrestler to hold on. He's holding on.
And he does. Final score, Ray Lamb 8, Tim Pence 7.
And Ray Lamb qualifies for the state tournament. And Tim Pence's last match for Kingsway is an 8-7 loss to Ray Lamb.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back. And we're back at Absegami High School for Consolation Wrestling in Region 8. We go to 171, Consolation. It is a couple Gloucester County wrestlers, I was going to say, District 29, old habits dying here.
Yeah.
Jason Hatchell, Clearview out of District 29. Mike Roberts, Kingsway, District 31.
Boy, and at the same time, we're going to have Clearview and Pittman on the other mat. What a time not to be able to have split vision. Mike Beato and Jesse Eisenhardt are going to go at it on the other mat.
Of course, when we talked about James Funk coming back to finish third, the other #1 seed to lose earlier today, Mike Roberts, losing to Greg Maxwell of Buna in the semifinals.
Yeah, 6-5.
And they bump heads, so maybe we can get a chance to go over. It looks like they're going to start right back up, though, so we'll just try and bounce back and forth.
Roberts, a senior, opened up with a 17-5 win over Derek Stevenson of Overbrook, lost 6-5 to Greg Maxwell of Buna, came back in the wrestlebacks and pinned Randy Martinez of Vineland in 347. He's 18-6 entering this bout against Jason Hatchell, a sophomore from Clearview. Jason Hatchell, the #5 seed, lost to Greg Maxwell in his opening round. Dropped into the wrestlebacks. He beat Derek Stevenson of Overbrook by a fall. He beat Rick Amos of Hamilton 9-3 to reach this point. He's 26-6. Impressive numbers for a sophomore, 26-6.
Especially at this weight. When you get in the upper weights, if you have records like that, that's pretty impressive. We're 1 minute in. Of course, Roberts, an excellent football player, known for his speed.
Oh, quick on the field. Great hands. Amazing amount of interceptions this year, John. I think we had 12 interceptions or something like that.
You keep telling me that.
Yeah, all South Jersey.
Jesse Castro, obviously a lot more comfortable now. He's sitting back. Of course, Mike Roberts made a name for himself a couple years ago in this tournament. Hatchell trying for the takedown.
When he was wrestling and his mom was cheerleading on the side? Or
I had a really good tournament, I believe. I'm not sure if he finished third, did he? But he had a nice tournament a couple years ago.
Yeah.
As a sophomore. Meanwhile, we have an injury to Jesse Eisenhardt on the other mat. Going up against Mike Beato for the right to finish third, advance to Cherry Hill East High School. Possibly to Meadowlands.
Mike Roberts in 1999, John, as you were alluding to, finished third in this tournament by beating Mike Mendenhall, Paulsboro, 14-4. That's what helped him get the #1 seed, believe it or not, in this weight class.
Right.
Because of the criteria they used. He was third in this tournament 2 years ago, and that advanced him into the state tournament, and that was part of the criteria that helped him get seeded. The further you go into the state tournament, or even making an appearance in the state tournament, that helps tremendously, as you see the tattoos adorning his body.
Start the second period. Roberts on top. Of course, Hatchell's brother John wrestled 215 in this tournament. One nothing lead for Hatchell. Still looking for a takedown.
Good job, well done by Katie Moyer of Paul Absegami Managers.
Here we see Hatchell trying to grab onto the leg. Nice job by Roberts. Now Hatchell in again. Stalemate. Or he was out, one or the other.
1-0 on the board. Not much scoring in this one, as you see Al Maloney give him a fresh start.
Low scoring match. 57 seconds left. There's a shot by Hatchell. Picks Roberts up.
He's in deep on him.
Roberts getting those arms in. Nice job to
So
fight it
strong.
off.
So strong.
Still no takedown. Fans want it.
Out of bounds. they
Fans
go.
are not officiating.
A lot of them would like to. That's easy
I
to
think
look.
they like to, except once it starts, I think they'd want to get out.
It's not as easy as it looks.
Now Roberts in on the shot, and he gets the takedown. So he has the 2-1 lead with 13 seconds left.
Big points late in the match. Late in the period. Roberts tried getting it back to, well, started to get a back count. I don't know if he got the full two count or not. Nope.
So he has a 2-1 lead.
Did not get 2 counts.
Should be his choice though, start. He doesn't want to start in the bottom, it looks like. We'll see what happens. It looked like they told him to take the bottom. I thought he nodded his head no. Of course, on the other mat, starting the third period, 1-0 there. So a couple close matches all the way around.
Roberts does take the down position.
Attention 50-50 players.
And he gets the escape right away. 3-1 lead.
Purchase your 50-50 tickets under the flag in the corner of the gymnasium.
So Jason Hatchell's going to need a takedown.
Which is a lot easier to diagram than to do. There's Roberts pulling his man by,
Sure.
getting a takedown.
5-1 lead with 1:30 left.
Hatchell almost got out as they were going out of bounds, but Roberts covered him.
Well, with a 5-1 lead, why don't we swing over to the other mat? It's 1-1, 1:47 left in the third period. Jesse Eisenhart of Clearview.
Who entered the tournament, by the way, or was entering the districts, by the way, John, is a 189-pounder. As you see, Beato get 2 points. He's in the black uniform of Pittman.
He has a 3-1 lead.
Eisenhart would have been a 4th seed in District 29 at 189 pounds. They decided to move him up to heavyweight, the best chance to get out of that district with Funk, Holmes, and Alexis Aquino. Moved up to heavyweight, did qualify to move out of the districts, and here he is wrestling for 3rd place, although he's down. He was the number 7 seed coming in, lost to Mike O'Connor of Washington Township 10-4, dropped into the wrestlebacks. He beat Steve Scafidi of Hamilton 8-3, and he beat Dan DiTullio of Millville 4-3. He's a junior, 24-8 at this juncture. Mike Beato, the number 5 seed, lost to Dan DiTullio in a first period fall, dropped into the wrestlebacks, pinned Vince Schifalalio of Buna, pinned Mike O'Connor of Washington Township. He's 24-2, a senior, trying to earn 3rd place here.
And he has a 6-1 lead with 20 seconds left.
Pretty safe bet.
Yeah, especially with the weight advantage. Here's a stall against Beato. And it makes it 6-2, but only 17 seconds left.
First night that Eisenhardt came here for weigh-ins, John, he had to get on the scale, get off, and go gain a pound and a half to be legal to wrestle heavyweight. And then get a couple slices of pizza.
Sure, that's every wrestler wishes they had that problem, huh?
Yeah.
4 seconds left. 6-2 lead, and it looks like Beato's going to win, so we'll go over to the other match. It's a lot closer now, 5-4.
5-4, and now they're back in bounds, but 5-4. Roberts is in a hairy one now.
Yeah, and I would think here Hatchell's just going to cut him loose and try and take him down.
Well, only 24 seconds to go.
That's what he's going to do. There's the escape.
6-4, Hatchell needs the takedown.
20 seconds. Roberts will just back up.
Oh, brother, that doesn't back up there.
He went right after him, got the takedown, picks up an 8-4 win, and he advances to Cherry Hill East later this week.
The old South Jersey football player. Walked as the number 1 seed, and now he's 19-6.
Okay, Vogue, well, the 2 number 1 seeds who lost earlier got redemption. They finished 3rd. So, as you said, this wrestlebacks help some people get through, and of course, Roberts and Funk also make it through. That'll about wrap it up for our coverage of the Consolations. We'll see you next time here on Comcast.